Hey guys, the next episode is my very first remote podcast. My guest, Al Day, he's a coal miner from West Virginia. We talk about coal mining, his love of cooking, and life in general. I'm very proud of this podcast, and I hope you enjoy it as much as we enjoyed making it. Remember, if you do like it, like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Enjoy. Everybody, welcome to the show. Today I'm speaking with Al Day. Al, you're a coal miner from West Virginia. What exactly do you do in the coal mines?
Well, I guess you could say I run that shit, son. Essentially, no, for real. Uh, no, I do preventative maintenance. Just work on the machines, grease, oil, fix oil leaks, that kind of stuff. Now, I'm an apprentice to become what they call an electrician, which is just an underground mechanic, basically. But we do
Right.
have to deal with high voltage electricity and stuff like that. So you
All
do
that
have to be
scary
licensed.
stuff.
Yeah, you can. I guess it gets scary if you don't know what you're doing. It's real scary. Or
Yeah,
actually, it's probably more scary if you kind of know what you're doing and not exactly. It's probably a little more scary.
yeah, because I could probably walk in there and think, oh, I could do this. Yeah, it's real
Yeah,
easy. And then a couple
exactly.
days in, I'd be ready to leave.
Yeah, a lot of
Um,
people think they know just enough to screw up. You know what I mean? Like
just
they
enough to
think they
be
know what they're
dangerous,
doing.
son.
Exactly.
So how long have you been a coal miner?
I over a little over 2 years, going on 3 years. I don't see me, doing anything else until retirement. Um, it's a good job. It's about the best paying job you're gonna find in West Virginia without a degree. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. A lot of
So,
pride and hard work goes into that. It's a lot of
I
history.
yeah, I am a proud coal miner. Honestly, I am. It's like it wasn't my decision out of high school to go into mines. You know what I mean? A lot of the guys down there that was their decision, whether it be because their dad and granddad and great granddad were coal miners, or that's just how they're going to make their money. But hey, look at there.
Yeah,
But I got one
we
right
were
here.
talking about before we started recording, we were talking about our kitties. I said
Yeah,
mine's running around here somewhere. This is Dexter. He's my kind of my mascot. Say hi, Dexter.
yeah. Hey, Dagster, you want to meet Squiddy? Come here, girl.
Look.
She's being shy. She's scanning. Look at
Oh.
her.
I usually
Get out
don't
of here,
like him
Squiddy.
up on the table, but we'll let him do whatever he wants this afternoon.
Oh yeah, why not? Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm proud to be a coal miner. I mean, we produce energy and really keep our state, especially keep our state running.
Yeah, I'm
But
pretty sure that we
yeah,
have a coal fire plant right down the road from us. Iatan is what it's called. I'm pretty sure. Now, I'm not 100%. I'm pretty sure it's coal fired.
it could be a mix of coal and natural gas, or it could be straight coal. It's hard to tell. I mean, where you're at, y'all should have some gas reserves there,
Yeah,
if not
yeah,
coal reserves, right?
yeah. I'm not too sure on coal, but we do have natural gas reserves up here for sure.
Now you're
And we're
close to
not
a
we're
river,
not
you
too
know.
far. Yeah, we're not too far from Chicago. So, I mean, Chicago's just 8 miles drive. So I just imagine how far.
Really?
Yeah. So rail could get here
Man,
pretty
you're that
quickly.
close to Chirac?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, hey.
Well, I'm actually we're just an hour north of Kansas City. So we
Yeah.
got in so east of us we got St. Louis. It's 4 hours east. And then northeast is Chicago, that's 8 hours. And then an hour south is Kansas City. So we're surrounded by kind of like within a few hours drive of some huge cities. And
Mm.
St. Louis is actually murder capital of the world a couple of years ago. So
Nice, nice. They're really coming
yeah,
up in the world.
yeah, yeah.
I went
So
there for the
I think they're
Budweiser
doing
plant,
better
but
now. Yeah,
I went there for
yeah,
the Budweiser plant a few years ago. But this murder capital of the world thing, you might have to take another trip, right?
yeah, yeah. Well, maybe not the world, but the United States for sure, for sure.
Either
And
way, either
I
way.
think it's a toss up between St. Louis and Memphis now. So It's
Really?
Memphis is yeah, Memphis is a real bad place. We went down there a couple of years ago and my wife wasn't anxious to go back, but I loved it. It kind of reminded me of Kansas City quite a bit, but
Yeah. When I was on
especially
Beale
St.
Street,
Louis.
man, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
loved every minute of that. We went down to
I
the
didn't make it down
Rendezvous and
there.
ate. Oh, son, you got to get down there and eat them ribs at the Rendezvous.
That's
They
what I
gave me a
hear.
little tour of their smokers and stuff. It
Yeah.
was it was real cool.
So we went to that Bass Pro Shop in the Pyramid.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
you been there?
I've never been there, but I've seen it like driving across because my wife's family's from Arkansas.
Yeah,
So before, when I was afraid to fly, that was the only way we got anywhere was via car. So
right,
I've crossed that bridge there in Memphis many times on my
right.
way to and from Arkansas, and I saw it. What was it before? It was the Bass Pro Shop.
I have no idea. I did read the history of it. Well, because we stayed there. There's a hotel inside of there,
Inside
and
the pyramid.
yeah.
No shit.
And actually, there's suites where the hotel extends into the pyramid, and there's of course there's a top of the hotel, and they carpeted it and put suites up there.
Mm-hmm.
So the suites are overlooking the entire store. And so we stayed in the suites. And
No
it's
kidding.
like 15 stories high. And so when you're overlooking your
Wow.
balcony, you can see the whole store. It's got
Oh, that's cool.
ponds inside everywhere and there's a
Mm-hmm.
observation deck on top and it's really neat, man. If you ever get a chance to
That is neat.
stop in there for sure. I've never been to Graceland, but from in my opinion, I've never been there because it's overrated. And
Yeah.
uh so I would definitely pick the Bass Pro Shop over Graceland. And that's huge in my
Yeah,
opinion.
well, I mean, I've got some Elvis CDs, and I
Yeah.
grew up in a house that was in just 70s shag carpet and stuff. So I don't really
Oh
need to
yeah.
see those things. I've seen them all. I saw the giant televisions and stuff. So I think I'd be good without going to Graceland. Yeah. I think I'd be all
Absolutely.
right. But I do want to go to
Yeah.
that basketball shop. I've been to one, but not one that was a pyramid.
Oh, it's awesome in there. And as a matter of fact, it's so big they got a bowling alley. And
What?
the hotel has room service. It's American style or American food. Yeah,
Yeah.
American
That's
cuisine. It's
super
pretty
cool. I had
awesome.
no idea. How
Yeah,
about
you'll have
that?
to
I
go
might have to
check
make a
it out.
trip. Yeah,
And
definitely.
as a matter of fact, you sent me some pictures of some thing. What was that train ride? Where was that at?
Oh, that is it's called the Cass Railroad.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit north of me in West Virginia. It
Okay.
overlooks Green Bank, where the SETI.
Yeah.
We
Search
kind of
for
talked about
extra.
that before.
You're right.
Yes,
Search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
exactly. So that's headquartered in Green Bank, West Virginia, and I mean, it's amazing. Like there is when you overlook the mountain, which I sent you that picture and I circled it. So that satellite dish is like the size of a football field.
Wow.
Yeah, and you ride the train up, and they'll actually leave you up overnight, and they leave you in a old caboose from a steam
Really?
engine. Have you ever seen Hell on Wheels?
No, no, I haven't.
Okay, that's I'm just trying to relate to like the cabin that he stayed in, like in
Yeah.
that show. That's what it looked like. Like it's just an old caboose, like you would picture from like the Get Along Gang when we were kids. You
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
that, right? Okay,
Yeah.
well that's what you said. That's what it looks like. It's a little red caboose, and it's up there on the top of the mountain, and they'll just leave you up there.
Yeah.
Like they do that, there's rules and stuff, lock the doors, don't go outside with food, that kind of stuff. And you don't want to eat by bear because there's no cell phone service, no lights, like no Wi-Fi, nothing up there. Because it'll interfere with the satellite. I can't remember how far outside the city it is. But like basically that whole county, what is that? Man, I can't even remember what county it is. I don't want to say because I know I'd be wrong.
Yeah, yeah,
But
absolutely. Yeah, I had to take notes
yeah.
because I was watching a documentary this morning about West Virginia, the coal wars in
yeah,
West
yeah.
Virginia, and I was watching a documentary this morning, and I was taking notes and stuff, and I was like, throughout the week, I've been doing a little bit of research here and there, but it just in and out. And
Oh
so
yeah.
I have a terrible recall sometimes, and so I took some notes to help me remember. But
Gotcha. Gotcha.
as you were saying about that mountain, uh, so the SETI satellite is as
Mhm.
large as a football field, and from the photo that you sent me, you can actually see it. You can
Yes.
see the vast how big it is because it actually looks. If you didn't know it was the size of a football field, it actually looks like it's closer. And
Yes, you would
the
think it was right
picture
on top of it.
Right, and we'll
Yeah.
pop up that picture at the bottom of our screen so everybody can see it when this is all done because I'm not sure it's in
Yeah.
our presentation here. But you did red circle around that uh uh the satellite and without I don't know if you knew or not, but I'm a big UFO guy. I love
Oh,
UFOs
no
and
kidding.
space and stuff. And as a matter of fact, I
Yeah.
named my son Rocket. So
Yeah, you were telling me that. That was interesting.
and
I was like, that's a very interesting name.
naming him Rocket was actually coincidental to so he was born in 2019, which is the 50th anniversary of the moon landings. And
Oh, okay.
so
All right.
I wasn't even thinking about it when I named him. And so somebody asked me, "Hey, did you name him because of this?" And I was like, "No, actually I named him Rocket because I thought it was a really cool name."
It is a
And
cool name.
so so it coincidentally I'm a big space fan, big NASA
Mhm.
fan, UFOs, anything to do with space I love. And then of course I named my child Rocket, and then afterwards I come like I had an epiphany. Hey, 50 years ago they landed on the moon,
Yeah.
so
Well, you
it's
can
pretty
always
quick.
change it. You can
Yeah,
always
well,
change why you said it. I mean, you write your own history, right?
absolutely, absolutely. The victor writes the history books, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So
So you
speaking, go
go ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I
I
was
don't
going
even
to
remember
say
what I was going to say now.
speaking of the victors write the history books.
Yes.
There's a lot of history there in West Virginia that I didn't
There
even think
is.
about. When I had actually just found you on a dad's group on Facebook,
Yes.
and I had posted, that I was looking, I'm a content creator, and some of the I tried to post a post basically introducing myself and introducing the podcast, and that wasn't allowed in that particular group. And so I was kind of complaining about it. And
Yeah,
you
what's
would, I don't know. I have no idea what, like those people that run those groups, like they take themselves and they're like, they take that as their job and they take it way too seriously. And so, but I kind of get that they don't want, I kind
easy?
of get that
Easy.
they don't want a bunch of spam in the group. I kind of get that. And
Yeah. Well, I
so
mean, you can delete spam, right?
right,
I
right,
mean, but a dude's like, hey, people are talking about what they do for a living or whatever. And
right,
you're like, well, I'm a stay at home dad, but I do this to try to make extra money and have a good time. Like,
right.
oh,
And this
well,
is
don't be telling us about your hobbies, you son of a bitch. Like,
right,
like,
right. This is
that makes
this
no
is
sense.
actually this started as a hobby, and
Yeah.
it eventually probably make money, but that's not what I'm doing it for. I'm actually doing it to meet people such as yourself. And like I said, I met you in that dad group, and you
Yeah.
had commented on there, "Hey, do you want to talk to a West Virginia coal miner?" And at that moment I was probably as giddy as you could get. I was like, do I? Yeah, I want to talk to a West Virginia coal. Even without the
Yeah.
podcast, if you didn't want to be on the podcast at all, I'd still want to have a conversation with you. I'd still probably get on a plane and fly out to meet you because I find it very interesting that people actually just want to talk to me, and I'm
Yeah.
thrilled about it. And
Oh man, the way I look at it is like you said you want to do it, you want to talk to people. Hey, I've got a blue collar job, buddy. It doesn't get much more
absolutely,
blue collar than what I do. And I didn't always do that. You know what I
A-
mean? Like
a-
I didn't that wasn't what I always wanted to do. Like I didn't come out wearing wearing mining boots like a lot of those guys did.
as a matter
Actually,
of fact, I got a little slideshow of
yes.
your first love here, and
Yeah, there we go.
so you are a chef, and
Yes.
and of course we'll put this stuff down at the bottom of our screen so that our guests can see it a little clearer because they glare on the television back behind us. But you cook some delicious looking food, man.
Yeah, I was the executive chef at a family run restaurant, not my family, but a family run restaurant here in Charleston, West Virginia. Was the last cooking job I had. And I've worked at hospitals cooking. I've cooked at about every chain restaurant you can cook at. And I mean, it really, that's what I've done since school. Like I started cooking at a little pizza restaurant when I was like 16 years old. I was delivering pies and cooking pizzas. And this dude, Dave Harper was his name. He passed away right before COVID, actually. And I mean, he was a great dude. Taught me how to make pizza dough, taught me how to make pizza sauce, and really like that. And growing up with my granny cooking, like it was pretty awesome, man. I mean, I had a real like idealistic childhood as far as like having a garden outside, and my granny cooked on a gas stove with cast iron pans, and like
Hell yeah.
every fall we made apple butter in the yard and stuff like that. I mean, it was pretty awesome. I mean, for a country kid, it couldn't get any better, man. Like
Right,
honestly,
right.
it really couldn't get any
For a
better than
city
that. I
kid, it
mean,
couldn't get any better.
I don't know them
I grew
city
up
kids, man.
similarly. I grew up in a
Yeah.
city, and so,
Oh
but
man.
we were really poor, and so
Yeah.
we grew our own food. We canned during the winter, you know, and meat. Our meat came from the government. It was all canned meat. So,
Yeah.
um, it was a weird childhood, but I didn't know any different. And
Oh, you
my
don't know when you're a
parents,
kid.
yeah,
I
my
mean,
parents didn't let on to the fact that we were poor, and we so our neighborhood wasn't really a poor neighborhood, but it was old. It was an older
yeah.
neighborhood. And so all the buildings, houses were old, you know, still decent neighborhood, but it was just poor. And
Yeah.
so I grew up thinking everybody lived that way
Oh, yeah.
until I was in high school, and then I started being made fun of for wearing, you know, cowboy boots and holy jeans, you know. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so
Them kids are cool now, right?
yeah, actually, yeah, I see a lot of them running around town here that like around here in Northwest Missouri, jacked up big pickup trucks is what they drive around. So
Yeah.
and they listen to rap music, ironically. So
Yeah, it is weird, isn't
it is.
it?
It is because when we were kids, it was all country music or rock and roll, and hip hop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hip hop wasn't. I mean, it was. You heard it every now and then, but we didn't even have any hip hop radio stations around here. So
Really?
yeah,
Oh, well,
like at
when you
Kansas.
were a kid, no,
Yeah,
yeah.
Kansas
So I
City
mean,
was the closest one. Yeah.
yeah, mid 2000s, I'm sure Nelly just broke out, didn't he, down there?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
And so
y'all went crazy.
that was actually playing on the contemporary adult contemporary stations here. So I mean it was more looked at like pop music. So
Oh, really? How about
yeah.
that? Well, I can see that. Yeah. I mean, it's not really. Oh, there he is. Come here, Bernie.
Oh, look at you.
Bernie's going to join us for a minute. Hey, buddy. Look,
Oh, he's
look here.
adorable, man.
This is my daughter's puppy. My other daughter has one too, his little sister. And he weighs, how much do you weigh, Bernie? Like about 12, 13 pounds.
Yeah, he
And
looks
his
pretty
little
good size.
sister, oh, I mean, for a miniature wiener dog,
Yeah.
pretty big miniature wiener dog. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so his little sister, she weighs about 6 pounds. She's literally about half his size.
Oh,
I'm trying to put his little bow tie on him for the show, but he didn't want to wear it. So I told him that was all right. Hey, we'll holler at you, okay? Be
that's
good.
all right, Bernie.
Don't eat anything, Bernie. But yeah, my daughter's boyfriend named him. He's a big Browns fan, poor kid. Named him after Bernie Kosar, yes, because that's the last great player they had. What was that, 85?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
what were we talking about? Oh, yeah, we were talking about Nelly. I
Yeah.
was glad to see. I was glad to see he healed up back in 16.
Yeah.
Remember that meme that went around? That was about the funniest thing I ever saw. I thought I was going to die laughing while I
No,
saw that. It was
which meme
funny.
is that?
It was a picture of Nelly without the thing under his eye.
Yeah.
And then the other picture was something good that happened in or something bad that happened in 16. It's like no matter what happened, at least Nelly got healed this year. You
Yeah,
can like
yeah.
tear that
I mean,
thing.
that thing took forever to heal up, huh?
No, it did. It was bad. I don't know what happened to him, the poor guy. It didn't even have a scar though, so that worked out good for him.
Oh, he had to have
Anyway,
some
back to
kind of
having a
laser
serious
surgery.
conversation. Not making fun of
So
Nelly.
I think originally we were talking about, you know, how you got into cooking and your love of
Oh
cooking
yeah,
and then
yeah. So I mean, my granny cooked all the time, and like even when I left home and went to live at Myrtle Beach because I thought that would be a cool idea.
I'm sure
Not
it
a cool
was a
idea.
cool idea at the
I
time.
was at the time, like the whole time I was there, great idea, right? But when I got back broke and hung over for months, it seemed like, it wasn't a great idea. But my granny took me in again because that's who she is. She was a great woman. And she'd make me eggs and bacon and biscuits every morning and taught me how to make gravy. And I mean, she just, I don't know. It was, we always had food. Like that's how we showed our love. You can see I'm not a small guy.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's how we showed our love for one another, was through food. At every family event, there was always food.
Oh
Like
yeah.
food's just always been a big part of my life, and that's why I got into it. But there was no money to be made around here. Like I got married in 11, September 17th, 2011. I got married, and I worked in the restaurants. The majority of the time. Uh,
Right.
until the last couple of years before I started coal mining, I started being a butcher. Made a
Yeah.
little more money cutting meat and delivering meat and stuff. But I mean, when the girls hit college age, I have two stepdaughters, right? 22 and 20. They're both in college. They're both doing great and they're amazing kids. But the government ain't trying to give them kids no break on college. You know what I
I'm
mean? Like
telling you. I'm
they're
telling you.
giving
My
them
wife
next to
just
nothing.
graduated a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Next to nothing. So, I had to find a way to make more money. And coal mining's been here for generation after generation. And there's ebbs and flows. There's good
Yeah.
times and bad times. And right now, it just so happens to be one of those good times.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I almost 1/5 of the United States energy comes from coal. About almost
that's
20%.
that's a lot of energy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
That
mean, when you
really is when you think
consider
about
how
it.
many, we've got a couple nuclear plants, and
Yeah,
we've got
yeah,
a lot of natural gas plants. And the, I think prior to 2022, we were up into the 50 percentile of energy use, the energy provided by coal here in the United States, but we've mostly gotten down around 20%, I think is what it is. And but even even with that, the United States is it's coal is the largest domestically produced source of energy in the United
yeah.
States, and that statistic comes from www.energy.gov. So I did check into that, and
Yeah.
that's from a government website. And
The
so I
government
mean,
wouldn't lie.
well,
Sorry. No, I know we were trying to be serious, but yeah,
we'll
that is
get into
true.
this later on in the interview. We're talking about SETI and the UFOs and stuff, and how much
Yeah,
the
right.
government's being truthful about that. We'll get into that.
Yeah,
But so you had mentioned, coal mining has been, there in West Virginia for generations, and the a lot of the labor regulations and uh, a lot of the labor laws that even I myself take advantage of. My wife, um, a lot of those laws and stuff and changes came from West Virginia and in coal mines. And
yeah.
I've got some notes here. There's this Mary Harris Jones, Mother Jones. Have you heard of Mother Jones?
I
And
have heard of Mother Jones, yes.
right around the 20th turn of the 20th century, 1890s, into the turn of the century, she had her fill, pretty much, of the mining companies, and she's from
Hmm.
Ireland. And she had around the turn of the century came up with this United Mine Workers collective bargaining, where they started collective bargaining agreements and stuff. So that's where that came from. Collective bargaining. You think of the NFL, you think
Yeah.
of you think of their collective bargaining agreements with the players and stuff. That's where all that came from, was coal mines.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
the
didn't know,
UMWA has brought a lot to the people that they don't know about.
and I didn't know about the all the violence that it took to get those rights, and all the blood that was shed by good patriotic Americans, who
Yeah.
the companies that they work for at the time, and thank God this has all changed, but the companies that they worked for at the time painted these patriotic coal miners as socialists and communists
Oh yeah.
to the United States government. So the United States government coming down and take care of them. And when that didn't work out, we were talking about some of the in a text message conversation, we were talking about uh, some of the battles and strikes that came out of West Virginia and the coal mines. And we were talking, you had mentioned about the battle of, let's see, the Battle of Blair Mountain and
Battle of Blair Mountain, yeah.
where the term redneck came from.
Redneck. So when you start in the mine, nowadays, current times, when you start out, you have a red hard hat you wear. That way,
Yeah.
everybody knows that you're young, you're green, you don't know what the hell you're doing,
Right.
and we need to keep an eye.
Red means watch out. Right.
Yeah, red means this guy's new. Watch this asshole. He might kill you. You might kill him. He don't
Right.
know what's going on. You know what I mean? So the first 6 months you're underground nowadays, you got to wear that red hat, and they're lovingly referred to as red hats, and that's it. Since most guys don't last that 6 months, you don't learn your name until you get black hat. It's just, hey, red hat, and they all turn around and you get what you need from them and send them on their way. Same thing with me when I started. Nobody knew my name until 6 months in when I got my black hat, and then we started introducing ourselves. Well, back then, before hard hats, 1920, they're still using carbide lamps. And they might have had the turtle shell hats then. I can't remember. They might have had leather hard hats then. I can't remember for sure when those happened. But anyway, sure somebody on YouTube will know and let us know for sure exactly when they came out. But so back then they wore red neckerchiefs.
Yeah.
Just a red bandana around their neck. That way they'd know who they were. Keep an eye out for them. And that's the main reason for the red. Well, when the war started, Battle of Blair Mountain, I mean, they went to war against, what was the name of that agency? Well, there was an agency.
I got it written down here. It was Baldwin Felts.
There you go. I kept wanting to say Pinkerton, but that's a whole other OK Corral type thing.
Right. Baldwin Felts Detective Agency. And what they
that's it.
What they basically were hired guns for these coal mining companies that now the coal mining companies weren't even from West Virginia. They were from out of state, up north. Carpetbaggers is what they called them.
Mm-hmm.
And so they would come in and buy up land and exploit the labor of the people who lived there and say, I got this written down. They paid it was 40 cents around the turn of the century, 40 cents per ton. Now, at the time in the United States, a ton was 2,000 pounds, and it still is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. That didn't change.
In order to get your 40 cents, you had to produce a long ton, which was 2,200 pounds.
Yeah.
And that is just some of the ways that those companies would get at these people. Another way, now my wife didn't know about this. They had glanced over this stuff in like school. But when you thinking about turn of the century and coal mines, you think of company stores and company towns and scrip. And that's, like I said, those in the history lessons, that stuff is glanced over, but that's just basically slavery,
Indentured servitude. I mean,
yes.
that's it. I mean, it's not quite slavery because there is payment, technically. So it's more indentured servitude because your needs were met because a sick man can't mine coal.
Right.
You know what I mean? So your needs were met. Your family's needs, on the other hand, not so much.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, it was essentially indentured servitude. And, they got tired of that shit. And the sheriff would come along and start evicting folks because they were trying to use their collective bargaining rights that were hitting McDowell County like 20 years after they hit everywhere else. And that's what kicked off the Battle of Blair Mountain was the evictions and all that mess that they were messing with. Well, those guys all decided, so they didn't shoot each other because they were up against the detective agency and they were up against the National Guard head show.
Yeah.
They were, it was bad enough that a lot of these guys, I mean, it was 1920, a lot of these guys had been in World War I.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like Steve Earle said, they drafted white trash first round here anyway. So those
Yeah.
guys had been in World War One, you know what I mean?
Well,
But
I
and
mean,
it
actually, the Battle of Blair Mountain, over 1 million rounds of ammunition were expended. Over one
yeah,
million. That's
yeah,
insane.
that's
And
wild, isn't it? It really
that
is.
is, when you said battle, I was thinking of,
Yeah,
strikers, workers,
yeah,
and striking. But around 10,000 armed and pissed off miners squared off against around 3,000 lawmen and those private detectives that were trying to
yeah.
take them out, and it essentially started a, like you said, a war. The
It was a small war.
the sheriffs, the lawmen, they were taking private owned planes and dropping bombs on the miners and stuff. And I just, when I was started reading about it, and when I came across that these people were accusing them of being socialists and communists. I mean, some of them, some of them actually were, but it was such a small subset that, but they were there
Yeah,
for each other and coal mining and trying to stick up for each other because they were just
yeah,
being dragged in the mud and nobody was wanting to help. And as a matter of fact, during the Battle of Blair Mountain, when the United States military, when the United States Army showed up, the miners just basically, okay, you can have it. We'll
yeah,
stop for now, but this ain't
yeah.
over.
They couldn't bring up arms against their own military
Right,
to force the government to intervene, the national government, and send the armed forces down to little McDowell County in West Virginia. I mean, there's something to be said for the balls on those dudes to have stood up to everything that the law could bring and everything these private detectives can bring, and every bought and paid for man in McDowell County and surrounding counties as they are fighting against them. And they didn't stand down until they basically had to.
right,
And they only stood down because it would have been like another civil war to them. You know
right,
what I mean? It's like they had just finished fighting in World War One. Why they're not going to go turn and fight the same guys they just fought with?
right. And it
I
was
mean, it's
actually the
just not.
largest armed uprising since Civil War here
Yeah,
in the
I mean,
United
it would have
States.
been horrible. So that's how the miners could tell themselves from the ruffians, as I like to call
Is that they
them. The
tied those
they're the
bandanas
con.
around their neck.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
had those red
all of them.
bandanas.
And that
Yes.
started as a way to identify young miners, young, inexperienced miners in the mine. And they said, hey, we've got to be able to separate ourselves from them. And you see that a
Yes.
lot in actually foreign wars. You see that a lot. Like our uniforms, the United States military uniforms are pretty much different from everybody else because they got that
Mhm.
giant American flag on the side.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
uh, so a lot of foreign countries will label themselves and so they can tell each other from the enemy, and that's pretty much essentially what those miners were doing during the Battle of Blair Mountain. And that lasted like a week,
Roughly.
about a
Yeah.
week, yeah. And
Well, I mean, long enough for them to get, nowadays you can drive to DC in 7 hours. From
right,
Charleston to McDowell County is another hour from here. I mean, long enough for them to bring the National Guard, get, you know what I mean, 1920s, things aren't moving as quick as they are now. So,
right,
I mean, it takes a while to get them up and going, but they had to raise enough hell to make them want to bring the National Guard down on them for them to end it.
right.
But yeah, I mean, I honestly, man, somebody calls me a redneck or something, I'm proud of it first.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
proud to be from where that went down.
Hearing you describe that story, man, I'm be totally honest with you. I've just swelled up with pride, you know,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm extremely patriotic and just swelling
As am
up with
I.
pride. I got goosebumps,
Yeah.
and it's I didn't realize that a lot of the labor rights that I take for granted in 2024 were started there in West Virginia. As a matter of fact, right near where you came from
Yeah.
and where you're
Well, it's
talking to me from now.
yeah, the labor rights that I don't know, there's really no better way to put it, man. The laws surrounding coal mining were all written in blood.
Yeah,
Men
yeah,
lost their lives.
and that's
Kids
what a
lost
lot
their
of the
lives. I mean,
that's what a lot of the fight was for, was for safety regulations,
yeah.
because mines were being blown up every day. And speaking
Mm-hmm.
of that, there was the Monongah,
Yeah.
the deadliest mine disaster in the United States. It was over 100 years, almost 120 years ago. It was
Yeah.
December 6th, 1907. The Monongah mine disaster. It claimed the life of 362 miners, and that was in 1907. And the Battle of Blair Mountain happened in 1921. And so
Mm-hmm.
things like that were happening from the turn of the century on. It just kept getting more dangerous and dangerous, and there's no safety regulations. And what safety regulations there weren't being enforced. And
No.
so the coal miners, at the risk of their own lives, would go into work and not know if they were going to make it home. At that time, it was one of the most dangerous professions in the world at that time in
Oh
West
yeah.
Virginia. And it's just absolutely incredible how the will of those men and women, because I mean, obviously, Mother Jones, she was a woman, and,
Exactly.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
she helped stand up to those guys and bring in rights for the coal miners. And as they said, we want safer mines. And if you can't give us safer mines, at least pay us better, you know?
Yeah. Right.
And
Let us pay us in cash. That's all we
right,
really wanted. We just wanted some
right.
cash money. I mean, just not company script.
Yeah,
You know, that's
and I mean, we to get back on that topic, the company script. I was talking to my wife about this a couple of years ago, and I was trying to explain to her, you know, so at one of the places where I worked, they had a cafeteria, and the markup in that cafeteria was ridiculous.
yeah.
And it wasn't my employer that had the cafeteria. It was an outside company that they had allowed to come in and put their stuff in the building so that we'd all have something to buy.
Was it
And
Sedesco?
no, I'm wanting to say it was something. It was company something. I can't remember.
Oh, okay. I was just curious because they're a bunch of scam artists. So, and the cat
I,
not.
It was something like company store or something like that. And I can't
Yeah.
remember. I can't for the life of me. I should have looked this up, but it
Ah.
just reminded me of the company towns, company stores of
Mm-hmm.
the mining towns. And I told my wife, I come home and I said, man, I said, you won't believe this. I spent $4 on a damn hot dog today. And she's like, why? And I said, because I was hungry and I didn't bring my
Yeah.
lunch. And then we got to talking about company stores, company towns. She had no idea what script was. She had
Yeah.
no idea that there was, in the last century, in the 20th century, there was things like that. She
Oh
thought that
yeah.
stuff like that was even older. And I was
Yeah.
like,
You
honey,
would
that
think.
that, that stuff was going on well into the 60s, you know?
Yeah. Like the what gets me with that whole company towns and when you look at those old pay stubs that those men and women would get, like it's on there. Your supplies are on there minus this. Your house
Checklist is what
minus
they called
this.
those.
Yeah. Your
Checklists.
doctor this. Let's say you got sick. One of your kids got sick.
Yeah.
They might just take your next 4 paychecks
Yeah.
for
And not
that.
even spread it out,
No,
and
they might
give
just
you a wage. They take it
yeah,
all.
yeah, take it off. I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I mean, you're going underground. They're going underground 24 hours a day, man. 3 shifts
Yeah.
a day, just like we do now. Coal mines are rarely idle, and back then they were never idle. I mean, they give
Yeah.
us we close our mines down 3 times a year for a week at a time,
Preventative
and we
maintenance
all get
shutdowns.
yeah everything shut down. Well, no, we
Yeah.
don't do anything. It goes idle.
Okay.
The only people there are there's an electrician there to check on everything. You know, we still have to do checks to make sure it's safe to go back in a week later. But July 4th, we're off, Thanksgiving week, and Christmas. And that's pretty much standard in West Virginia.
Yeah.
Like most coal mines are shut down for, those 3 weeks. And it's nice to know you got those vacations coming up because, we've been trying to plan this for quite a while and I don't know when I'm getting off work. Oh, I know when I'm going. I can tell you exactly when I'm going. But whether it's 6 or 7 days a week, sometimes it's always at 11 p.m. That's all I know.
Yeah, I used to I used to work on underground construction. I used to do infrastructure, and I would go in at like 6 in the morning and tell question mark at night. That's what I tell people. Well, what time do you get off? Question mark. I don't know.
Yeah. Speaking of that, so I was listening or I was watching, I guess, your podcast the other day when you were talking about that Am I the Asshole group on Facebook. So I was like, okay, I got to go check this out. So I go and I'm reading through them. And this girl is like, I'm a cashier at she didn't say where, but retail store X or whatever. And my boss expects me to clean after my scheduled time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this motherfucker making her pay? Like, punch out? Like, what's going on? So she's like, it takes like 15 minutes. I'm like, whoa. So you worked 8 hours and 15 minutes and you're losing your shit? Like, bitch, you're the ass.
Well, I mean, so there is.
I wouldn't say it like that, but
that is one of those. Oh, you can absolutely say it like that because they're both the asshole in my opinion. I actually had a boss that did that to me, and it kind of upset me a little bit. The way he would say things is he would say, well, I'm paying you to be here, and we're friends and everything, and you don't have to clock back in to give me 5 minutes at the end of the day.
Oh no, that's not happening.
And I told him, I was like, no, I'm not like that. I said, it's not the 5 minutes. It's just, if I'm going to be working, you're going to pay me. That's,
right.
And I didn't have a scheduled time off. And now like this cashier, if what she was saying, what I gathered from that was that she could be paid for those 15 minutes. The boss just wanted her to work until the end of the shift. You're scheduled to work until, let's say, 7 a.m. You have to work until 7 a.m., clean up after 7 a.m. You're still going to get paid for that, but you just clock out when you're done cleaning up.
But I mean, Rick, we're talking about 15 minutes, bro.
Right.
15 minutes of your life. I mean, she's talking about I have a life outside of this place.
15 minutes is going to, 15 minutes is going to cost you.
Yeah, to work 10 hours, 12 hours a night. I drive an hour both ways, ride a man trip an hour to the active section both ways. You know what I mean? I might complain every once in a while, but I'm definitely not going to go on the internet and be like, hey, my boss wanted to talk to me for 5 minutes after I punched out.
Right.
I mean, those guys paying you, do the work or go home, man.
Right.
And you don't, just because it says 8 p.m., 8 a.m., whatever, you don't punch out and walk out the door till the job is done.
Exactly.
Who is telling people that you just punch out when the time's up? Like, what the hell kind of job is only for X time? There's a job.
Right. You got work to do. You got work to do. And there's lots of situations in like underground construction, utility construction where we couldn't stop. Like we were working on live water lines, plugging up live water lines, emergency services and stuff like that. There's stuff like that we had to do all the time that we could not stop until it was done. 3 o'clock in the morning, you're out there freezing your ass off because a water main busted and you got to fix it. That's what you got to do.
What are you going to do? Drop your spanner wrench after 8 hours? Be like, okay, well, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Right. And that's exactly the way it was. I remember one trip it was El Dorado, Kansas. Cassidy, Kansas is where we were working. El Dorado is where we were staying. And a buddy, the guy that I had with me was getting ready to have a baby, and his wife was having sonogram the next day. And we were way far away from home, and I think we were like 4 hours from home, and he had to be home the next day. We were staying out of town, and boss wouldn't let us come home until the job was done,
Oof.
which I understood.
Yeah.
Because we were on some tight timelines, but it was on me to make it happen. And
Yeah.
he did say, like was we came home for the weekend regardless. And this was a Thursday night, and he needed to be home Friday morning. So boss told me, as long as you get the hole done and the machine moved, we're good. And so I was operating a horizontal directional drill. So it's pretty similar to those cutting heads
Yeah.
on the continuous miners, but only like this big around and doing circles.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did. I mean, but it took us until midnight to punch out of the hole, drag back in
Yeah.
our product, and move the machine. And I had to drive a semi truck home 4 hours. And so it was like, okay, I got that done, and my guy got home, but I was still expected to be back at work at 7 in the morning.
Yeah. Right.
And so I ended up getting fired from that job for absenteeism, which, I come home at 4 o'clock. I come in at 4 o'clock in the morning to
Yeah.
drop off the equipment, and then he wanted me back in at 7 in the morning. And I'm like, man, I'm tired. I'm
Yeah.
didn't
It's
even need to work today. I got all my hours in. I got my 40 hours
mm,
in before like Wednesday that week. So,
right.
so, it's tough to work for some employers like that, but I understood that that's the name
Yeah.
of
I
the
mean,
game. You get the job done and
we all have deadlines we got to meet. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just different for dudes that are working in a blue collar field. Honestly, I mean, maybe it's just different for us. Maybe we see things differently than other people. I guess I don't know.
it's quite possible. I
All
can't
I
get my
know
kids
is
to do anything.
yeah, right. That's the way I love my girls to death, man. But I don't know, they'll work. They won't work for me.
Yeah.
They'll
Yeah.
work. Like,
That's
they both work hard outside the house. Like they've learned work ethic from watching their mother and I do. Boy, around here, they just useless.
my oldest son. He'll go to work. He's got that show up initiative,
Mm,
but and now I'll tell you this, he is consistent. That's one good thing about him. He is consistent, but he's not consistently good, and he's not
hey,
consistently bad.
at least you know
So
what you're getting.
right, exactly. And so he goes to work without fail all the time. And when he does call in, he's sick, like legitimately
Yeah,
sick. And so he did catch that work ethic from us, but it's what kind of employee you're going to get when he gets there.
yeah. What
And
quality?
yeah, and so a lot of the things that I notice in my everyday dealings with the public, and I don't deal with the public very often, just when I have the kids, when I'm out in the grocery
Mhm.
store and stuff. Nobody takes pride in their work anymore. And it's extremely difficult to want to have call somebody up to come work on your house, for
Yeah,
instance, and know that they're just going to show up. It's another job to them. They don't really care. I mean, it sucks sometimes because I'm like, where's all the pride? We
right.
used to be proud here in America, and I like nobody's proud anymore. And I don't know if that happened. It's hard to say when exactly that happened, but it's like since we don't have an enemy overseas, we're fighting each other, you know?
Yeah, you know, not having an enemy overseas. So was that all orchestrated? Like, how much? Let's say since World War II,
Yeah.
right? Post World War II, 46 on, right? Has anybody really done some shit that needed the United States intervention?
No,
Like,
no. As a
legitimately,
matter of fact, it's all been proxy wars with Russia, pretty much.
right? Like, so, I mean, yeah, we had the
Korea, Vietnam. Yeah.
enemy overseas, right? The poor Vietnamese people, you know what I mean? And I'll tell you what, the Vietnamese people if they're guilty of anything, it's making a goddamn delicious sandwich. Because I don't know if you knew this or not, that we have a little Vietnamese sandwich place here in Charleston. And I can't say Vietnam without talking about this place. So, the French invaded and took over Vietnam for a number of years, right? That's
Yeah,
what the
yeah.
whole colonialism, all that Asian
Oh
war
yeah.
right there
Oh
was
yeah.
involved in. We didn't have anything to do with, but that's neither here nor there. So they have a French baguette, and then they'll make like what you would consider like typical Asian fare, like say roasted pork with cabbage and carrots and sweet and sour sauce, and then they put that son of a bitch on that fresh baked French bread and eat
Oh,
it like a sandwich.
oh, that sounds
Yeah, I
awesome.
mean this place is awesome. Hey, when you come this way, dude, I'm taking you there is the first place we go eat because that place is the shit.
I'll
So
tell you what,
anyway,
when I do make it down there, I'm gonna have to do this live with you because
oh yeah, for
this.
sure, man. We'll do it right here at this kitchen table, and I'll shut up, dog. So basically, what happened was a car drove by, and since he's a miniature wiener dog, he's under the impression that the whole street is his as well, not just our house. So he can't have that shit. So they drive him by. It'll listen to that reaction. Shut up, dude. Attaboy.
We
So
can barely
anyway,
hear him on this side. I
okay,
mean,
good.
we
So
can hear him, but we can hear you louder.
yeah,
So
all right. So anyway, like Vietnam, great food. But then, then we were talking about Korea, then Vietnam, then we were in the Middle East looking for those what are they, weapons of mass destruction,
yeah,
right? Like we were looking for those, and we continued being in the Middle East. Like the weird thing about the Middle East wars, to me, as an outsider, not a member of the military at all, just a dude who grew up during all that crisis.
right.
Like what's weird to me about it is why didn't we have a fight with any of the countries that didn't have oil?
Yeah, yeah. So I have
Like, how did that
I've got
work
a tinfoil hat theory about that. I think somebody in the United States government sat down and figured out that we've got X amount of minerals and stuff like that, crude oil and stuff. Why don't we go over here to these countries and soak up all their resources before we hit ours? Now that's completely tinfoil
Yeah,
hat theory, but I think somebody along the line, because we do it everywhere, and
yeah,
the only thing that like the United States isn't the only place you can find coal.
no,
It's actually what it is like compressed what coal is. It's like it's compressed like plant life pretty much. It's what they
yes,
call peat.
vegetation. Yeah,
Yeah. And so that's not unique to the United States. We just have some
no,
very
no,
large reserves here. And
exactly. And I mean, so does China, so does
yeah,
Australia, and Scotland will eventually.
yeah. And
They've
so
got
I
those giant
wonder,
peat bogs. Eventually, that's going to turn into coal under enough pressure and time.
right, right. Now I wonder if somebody had sat down and said, let's go take their resources before we use up all ours. I wonder if that's been, you know, I don't
I
know.
could see that, but then it's like you look at say Kuwait, right? Like that's where we kind of got our start. So those oil wells got set on fire supposedly by terrorists, right?
Right.
Didn't they burn for like a decade almost?
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
real, like it was almost a decade, and they still have oil. Like
Yeah.
how much oil do they really have over there?
A bunch. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, there's no way we can compete with that. Like no
but
possible way.
they say the United States has more oil than the rest of the world,
How though?
underground,
Where's it at?
untapped. I have no idea. The
Well,
Alaska's
like,
got a
I
lot
guess
of it.
Alaska.
I mean, Canada's not United States, but they got a lot up
Yeah,
there. And then
North
of
America,
course
close enough.
Texas, and then offshore in the Gulf.
Yeah,
I think there's X amount of miles off the shores that we get to claim as ours. I think it's like 50 miles or something like that. Don't quote me on that because that may be inaccurate.
yeah. I don't know about that. I was always under the impression 12 miles was international, whatever
That
waters.
could be 12
That's
miles.
what I've always heard. But I mean, people just say that stuff. Like who really? I don't really know that. I do. I'm not an expert on maritime law.
Yeah, I might have to
You know
look
what I
that
mean?
up and actually
Yeah.
give you
Bird law, on the
factuals.
other hand, yeah. Charlie, Charlie Day. That
Yeah.
son of a bitch
Oh my,
makes me laugh.
that's
And
one of
he's
my favorite shows ever.
yeah. I was wondering if you'd get the bird law reference or not.
to be honest with you, man, like that show, it's not even, man. I see people that act like that, act like
Oh
Charlie
yeah.
Day, and it's so funny. And my favorite episode of that show, it was St. Patrick's Day, and he was trying to trap leprechauns in the
Yeah.
basement, and he comes in, and I forget what the other one's name is, but he said, "Have you been drinking paint? You've been drinking green
Mac.
paint?" Yeah, Mac. And he's like, no, I don't know. I don't know what you, I forget where we landed on that. And he's like, don't drink paint. And he's like, I hear you. I hear you. So that's one of the things that my wife and I say to each other all the time when, we're just doing kind of our own thing. I hear
Yeah.
you. I hear you. I'm going to keep doing this, but I hear you.
Yeah. That is such a great show. Great show. But we were talking about what were we talking about? We got off subject a little bit, I think.
Coal mining and coal being shipped overseas, and
Oh yeah, yeah,
so it's still being, coal is being ripped out of the ground still at amazing pace, and
oh yeah.
continuous mining isn't the most efficient, but it
Not
is
at all.
almost the most efficient. And I'm seeing a continuous miner head chew is just
Mm.
fascinating. How many feet do you guys get in per day?
Let's see. Two sections, two continuous minor sections. All of them have 12 heads, which are 11 and a half feet wide. We shoot for 350 foot per section per shift.
Holy
So
cow.
1,400 feet.
Wow. That's a
Now
lot.
that's at somewhere between 6 and 8 feet high. Some as low as 4.5, 5 feet. And that depends on whether or not we're just cutting coal or we're cutting sandstone or we're cutting coal and limestone. Like it really depends on what else is in there besides coal.
Absolutely.
Because you will
Yeah.
see like
Because
some
because
true
that
eight
coal
foot coal
running,
seams.
it runs in veins and coal
Seams,
and
yeah.
seams. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we have like I'm working in what they call the Stockton seam. And the Stockton seam is a low grade metallurgical coal. Right?
Okay.
Low grade met coal. And low grade met coal is used for steam power.
Okay.
I work in a coal mine that produces electric coal to make electricity. We have other coal mines in West Virginia that produce really high grade met coal. And that coal is mostly used for steel production.
Really? And so it's like iron ore.
What's that?
So it's kind of like iron ore.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It depends on how good it is. Hold on a second. I got to see. He's barking at the mailman because he thinks everything's his. And I don't know what he got into, but there's something tore up all over the fucking living room floor. Now I wasn't paying attention,
Oh no.
but I mean it's bound to be one of his toys.
Oh,
But yeah,
if you need to go clean that
no.
up real quick, we can.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, right. We're good.
All
I'll
right.
clean that shit up when I clean it up. You know what I mean? As long as it's cleaned up by 5 when the wife gets home, it's all good.
Hey, I hear
So
that. I hear that. I don't even think like that. I'll be like, so I don't feel like doing anything. Man, fuck that house. I'm not cleaning. I'm so like I said, I've
yeah.
been a stay-at-home dad for 10 years, and
Yeah.
some days I just don't feel like doing nothing. The kids,
I get that, dude.
stay-at-home moms, bless them,
Yeah.
because I couldn't do it. Like I'm a stay-at-home dad, and I'm actually one of the laziest people I know. And I mean, I do the cleaning and the laundry and the lawn and all that stuff. But I mean, dealing with the kids on top of all that, I'm telling
yeah.
you what, I would much rather be at work. But
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You
my
say you got
wife
three at
has,
home, right?
yeah, I've got three at home, or no, two at home now,
Two at
and
home.
because one just moved away. He lives in the same city, but I see him maybe once every 2 weeks. But
Yeah.
um,
Naturally.
so two at home and two that live outside of the home, so four altogether. I've got a daughter, she's 21. I've got three boys, one age 20, age 14 and 4. And so
Really?
they're
Did y'all intentionally have Rocket? Like, was that
no,
planned
no,
10 years
he
later?
was an accident, and I
Surprise.
actually,
It was a
yeah,
surprise.
surprise.
hmm
And I got a vasectomy afterwards
Yeah, I
because
get that. I get that.
before he was born, what had happened was we like traveling. We love traveling. And
Yeah.
so we were like, okay, we're going to focus on traveling. We're going to do our thing. Kids are growing up, getting out of the house. And my wife comes in to me and she says, I'm pregnant. And she was
Oh,
freaking out. Like she was
yeah.
like, how are we going to afford this baby? And I was like, well, damn, how are we going to afford the baby? It's a little too late to think about that
Yeah,
now,
I mean,
you know?
that's.
And I told her, I said, $100 now, you know, so we could come across $100 now a lot easier than we could 10 years ago. And
Yeah, naturally. But
that's
what's that
essentially what
saying,
I,
though? I mean, coming
yeah,
across $100 now is like coming across $20 10 years ago.
that's
Like,
true.
could you
But
come
like when
across
you
20
go,
bucks 10 years ago?
yeah, yeah, well, that was difficult too sometimes. Like we were
Yeah,
scraping money to eat back then.
yeah,
And
yeah, that's too.
so formula, baby diapers, and all that stuff was really expensive, but
Yeah,
we could make it work. And like our financial situation had changed so much in 10 years that I was like, hey, don't even worry about it. And with her first child, my wife's first child was actually my third. And so I'd been through it before. I knew you didn't need all
yeah,
the fancy stuff that parents normally buy, but my wife didn't know that. So she had to
yeah.
buy the diaper genies. And it seemed like every time we go to the store, it was $100 bill for,
Oh,
some stuff
100%.
for the
Yeah,
baby. And so the way I explained it to her was, hey, babe, coming up with $100 for a crib now isn't as difficult as it was 10 years ago. And she's like, you're right. And when he was born, we were like, we talked about all this not having a baby nonsense. We talked about not wanting another kid. And when he was born, it's like, man, I'm glad we got to do this again,
yeah.
you know?
Oh, yeah, I get it. I get it.
And
Like,
he's
we knew
he's
we weren't going to
awesome.
have any kids. So we knew, like, my wife had my two stepdaughters when we met, and we knew we weren't going to have any more kids. That wasn't even an option, right? Because we didn't get together until I was 30. She was 27 at the time, and she had already been fixed. You know what I mean? Like, she had no interest really in having any
Right.
more kids. I thought at first I might want some or whatever. So, but then like the girls kept getting older, and we hadn't decided to go to Mexico and get her tubes untied or whatever the fuck you got to do, because we
Right.
definitely couldn't afford to have it done in the States. You know what I mean? So,
Absolutely.
but then the girls get older, and we started taking so 11 years, was it 11 or 12? 11 or 12 years after we got married. I can't remember which one. My first year of the coal mine, July 4th comes around, and we got that whole week off. Well, for the first time in our entire marriage, we actually had money in the bank.
Yeah.
I mean, we had two kids that had graduated high school. They were at their dad's for the summer, and we actually had money. Like,
Yeah.
so we went on our honeymoon 12 years after we got married.
Yeah.
And that definitely ended the idea of having kids. I was like, we'd always talk about having kids, having another kid or getting dogs, or basically what I'm driving at is this dog is keeping me from vacation. And it's not, as much as I love the little bastard, I think I'd rather take vacation. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah, we actually talked about that recently ourselves. Somebody had asked why we don't have a dog, and I was like, "Well, I'm too lazy to take care of a dog, number one, and number two, like I can leave a cat home, like cat will be
Exactly.
fine, and I
Mm-hmm.
I do have somebody come over and check the mail and all that stuff,
Yeah.
so we have that, but I don't have anybody to come make sure the dog's not lonely, make sure he's going out to the bathroom and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
if I can't pay 100% attention to him, the way he deserves to, he or she deserve to be treated, the dog, I just would rather not have one,
No,
you know?
definitely not. I mean, it's cruel. I mean, let's be
Yeah,
real. You go to jail
absolutely.
for treating a dog like that.
Right, right.
People ignore their kids all the time. Nothing said. If you fuck around, leave a dog outside in the cold, your ass will go to jail around here. So,
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I love the
And
little guy, and it was just like you said. When Rocket was born, everything changed.
yeah,
You had your, well, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. I can think of it. It starts with an A, but I can't say it right off the top of my tongue. But so you're apprehensive coming
yeah,
into it. Then he's
yeah,
born and everything changed. Well, that's kind of the way it was with these dogs. Like
yeah.
my oldest daughter got hers, and we kind of liked that little thing. And then my youngest daughter's like, well, I got the opportunity to buy her brother, so she does. And next thing you know, I got two wiener dogs and three cats in my little 980 square foot house. What I mean, you're saying I got a
Yeah.
1,000 square foot house. I get it, man.
Yeah.
We were in one
Yeah.
too.
We're actually
So I mean,
very similar, very similar. I think
yeah,
it's nine
exactly.
987 or something like that
Yeah. So I
total
mean, it's
square
like
footage.
almost the same size house. Like, so I mean, but it's great having them. But yeah, I would rather travel than have an animal or another kid. I love kids, other people's kids. What I mean? My nieces and nephews love them. They were just here not long ago. Like when we were supposed to do this originally, I had. So I mean, imagine my mother-in-law, my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, niece, nephew, me, my wife, both my girls, this
All in that
cat,
little bitty
two other,
house.
all of them, dude. And we've got, let's see, we've got four bedrooms the way it's set up right now. But my wife and I took what would be like a formal dining room, or not a formal dining room, a formal living room,
Yeah.
and we converted the back of the house into our bedroom. And then the other three are in the main part of the house because Nitro, where I live, was originally built, like the whole city was built and then named Nitro because you know what we did for World War One? Produced
Yeah.
nitroglycerin. All right, so that's what my whole city was producing nitroglycerin. Well, right after World War II, we're still producing all kinds of ill shit, Teflon, and well, I think DuPont was here. The company that became 3M was here. McJunkin, like there's all these different chemical companies down
Well,
here.
I
Not
did
now,
not know
but
that.
then. Yeah, oh yeah. Nitro was when I played ball as a little kid. We were in a league, and the league was called the Chemical Valley. Like that was the name of the league. It was like us all the way out to Point Pleasant. Point Pleasant where the TNT factory, where the Mothman. The
Yeah.
Mothman. Everybody knows the
Yeah.
Mothman. So yeah, all the way out to the Mothman. Like we were all in that Chemical Valley League. But my house, what I'm driving at here is my house was put up real quick, and it was a Sears and Roebuck home. Like I went online and actually found the advert for my house, exactly the
That's
way it was set up
awesome.
originally. Yeah, it's
That's
super cool.
awesome.
I'll show it to you. I'll send it to you. I've got a picture of it. I'll email it to you or something. But anyhow, like when it was originally put in place, it came in two pieces. It was three bedrooms and a bathroom, and that was one half of it. And the other half was a kitchen, a dining room, and a living room. And
Yeah.
they brought it right here to 1219 and screwed the son of a bitch together. And you can see where they did it at. Like right
Yeah.
to my floor, there's a clear partition.
Yeah. My
So
grandparents
then,
have a house built the same way.
yeah. And I mean, it was like the first modular homes. And this was not a 1980s trailer home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this is a stick built home.
Yeah.
When I go underneath it to make sure everything's cool and my pipes aren't freezing and stuff, like it's a stick built home. Everything's there, the floor joists, whole nine. But then in the 80s, late 70s, maybe, I can't remember when she told me, late 70s into the 80s, they built on another room, a kitchen. Then a little later on, they built on another room in the back and then a porch. And then, so, I've got a house that came on the land in 1950, but didn't finish construction until like 1990. And it took up the majority of my little parcel of land. But as a first time home buyer, I was really excited about it. I'm
Yeah.
very happy with what I have. As small as it might be, it's all my wife and I need. The kids are,
So,
basically moved out.
so when did you buy your home? What year?
We bought, so everything we have is because I became a coal miner. Like,
Nice.
no lie. I
Nice.
mean, as a chef, I worked my balls off, dude,
Oh, I'm
and
sure. So
made
my wife
nothing.
actually loves cooking, and that was if she could have made money at it, she'd be working at a
Yeah.
restaurant herself. That's she
I mean,
says that all the time. She says that
it
all the
was
time.
so, it was so fun, but such hard work. And it is an art form, and I loved every minute of it. Don't get me wrong, but the money just wasn't there. I
Right.
mean, I'm not trying to brag by no means, but I make 3 times more money now working in the coal industry than I did as an executive chef in Charleston, West Virginia.
Right.
I mean,
And
that's
as you
nice.
should actually. I mean,
Well, honestly, I worked just as hard and just as many hours.
right.
The only difference is I'm underground now. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah,
the only
I
difference.
actually worked at Sonic for 2 weeks, and
Yeah, nice.
that's as far as I made it, you know, and it's I
Yeah,
got fired for having a bad attitude is what they told me. But
really.
yeah,
Did you tell? Were you a car hop or a cook?
cook. And
Okay, got it,
so
got
that 2 weeks, man, I gained a better respect for food service workers because
it.
that
Yeah.
2 weeks I was busy like the whole time from the time I
Oh
walked
yeah.
into the building until I walked home, I was busy, busy, busy,
Fast
busy,
food is.
standing on my
Oh
feet.
god.
And
So did you have the bad attitude though? Like, were you
oh
deserving of
yeah,
being
oh
fired?
yeah, I
Okay,
had the
all
bad
right.
attitude. So what had happened, my manager and I had gotten in a disagreement that turned into
Yeah.
an argument. And what it was I was filling the fry boxes too full. And
Okay.
so they wanted you to open up the box and fluff it out and then stick your finger in the bottom and then put the fries in.
Oh
So,
yeah.
and I was like, then you're just cheating your customers. You're deceiving them. That's stealing. And they were
Mhm.
like, no, this is the box designed it. And I was like, this is crap. And I moved on. I moved on.
Yeah.
And then the next day they told me I was fired for having a bad attitude. I was like, well, take this job and shove it.
Right. You gave him a little Johnny paycheck.
Yeah, no further explanation needed. I'm out. See
Yeah.
you guys later.
I'll tell
And
you what, man.
I went to be a machine operator at a factory. So
I'd much rather do that, honestly,
yeah,
than working fast food. Now, the kind of restaurants I was in at last, not. I'd rather be doing that than what I'm doing now, honestly, but the money's not there. I mean, I don't have the love for coal mining that I had for cooking, you know.
right,
It's a great
right.
job. I enjoy my job. I like all the guys I work with. And some of those guys, man, I was talking to a guy yesterday, and you might not get the reference, but I can explain it a little bit. He said that he's from Boone County, so in 7th grade, he went to Votech to learn to move belt. So we have a continuous belt that takes the coal outside, and every couple
Yeah,
of days, a group of guys has to
I've
move that
actually
son of a bitch up.
on this slideshow, I actually have that
Yeah,
continuous belt.
yeah, exactly. So
We'll
anyway,
show
every
that
couple
real
of
quick.
nights they have to move that and make it longer. Yeah, there you go.
And so I got to
Yeah,
ask you a
so
question real quick. I wanted to
yeah,
ask you, have you ever thought about riding that damn thing out of the mine?
you can't ride that one, but there are many coal mines still in existence that men do ride in and out on the belt.
Really? That is
That is your
awesome.
way in and out on
And
that belt.
you guys have that that what did you call it kind of looks like a lunar, you know, that little
Oh,
car you
we've got
guys.
a yeah. There's some small ones. We've got like a 4-wheeler. They're usually called like we've got like a Mac is a company that makes those little things. So you got like a Mac 10, Mac
Yeah,
12, Mac 8, and it's Mac is the company, and the number after is the number of men that can ride on it.
right.
So most of
So
them
it's
are
like
we just call them 4-wheelers and stuff like that. Yeah, like the one I sent you the picture of, that little yellow one. That's
yeah,
just a little Mac 2 that it's like an electrician ride. The guys that are working out by off the section, guys that are off the section, have those little cars to run around. We actually get to the working section on a rail ride.
right.
That's the big one that looks like it seats about. You would probably think that it would seat like 12 people, 13 people,
Yeah,
14, something like that. No, we put 20
because they
dudes
are
on there.
huge.
They're really big. Like you'll sit
There we
across
go.
from one another, 4 wide on both sides, and you kind of gotta like interlock your legs like this, like
Yeah,
like that, like each
yeah,
man down, and you're in there. I mean, so there's going to be 8 dudes on each end, a guy driving, legally,
right.
and so 17 dudes get to the section at a time on them. We don't have that many guys on food out midnights. We usually take 12 guys, 13 guys in at a time to one section. And
Right.
then the other section has the same. But during like a working section, though, man, there's dudes everywhere, man, just running around doing all kinds of shit. I mean, you got guys running the miner, guys running show cars, guys running bolt machines. You got guys hanging fly pads and curtain, which are just air brakes. It's a
Yeah.
way to keep the air where you need it because
Yes.
you have to
Yes.
have so much
Because
air behind you.
ventilation is
Yeah,
very
ventilation is
important.
extremely important. And if you don't have ventilation, people die. I mean, that's all there's
Back in
to
the
it.
day, they used to use canaries in the mines.
Yes, the canary in the coal
I don't
mine.
know if you still use canaries, but I'd imagine
I
not.
should have brought my canary home with me. So nowadays, the canary is what we call a spotter, and it's a little device about that tall, 3 4 inches tall, about an inch thick, and you wear it on your chest. It's got a little clip on it. It clips onto my bib overalls,
Right.
and I turn it on, and it's set to go off if the oxygen gets below 19%. Which
Right.
once you're below 19%, you're going to start knowing it. But the
Yeah.
problem is, like, there's an awesome video you got to watch on YouTube. It's a fighter pilot who is
Okay.
intentionally given low oxygen, and they're giving him like puzzles that little kids do, and he
Yes.
thinks he's
Yes.
kicking
I
its
think I've
ass.
seen videos like
Yeah,
this.
like dude thinks he's kicking its ass, but he is doing a horrible job putting
Right.
little squares into the square. You know what I mean? Square peg, square hole, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing a terrible job, but he thinks he's doing great. So anyway, that's you don't realize when oxygen gets low. Like you can't smell
Right.
methane gas. You know what I mean? You
Right.
don't smell methane gas. It has no smell. Colorless, odorless.
And
You
it just
can,
comes out in pockets as you're chewing up that coal, you're
yeah, it's
releasing
just there, bro.
pockets. Yeah.
It's there naturally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide comes from incomplete combustion.
Right.
So that's around diesel engines cause it. There's all kinds of stuff that causes it, but in the you know carbon monoxide in the mines is very dangerous because it's highly explosive.
Right.
And if methane gets up too high, that thing tells me. Carbon monoxide gets too high, that thing tells me. Hydrogen gas gets too high. I think it's hydrogen's the other one. Anyway, it's a four gas detector. I want to say hydrogen's the other one, but I'm not positive. I
And that's pretty nice actually because the canaries were only for oxygen. So
well, any of those other gases will kill them also.
really,
It's just
I did
like
not.
yeah, like once yeah,
as I was
oh yeah,
looking that up, I didn't realize that.
yeah. Not only low oxygen, but methane will kill it. You know what I mean? Like any of those things will kill it.
And
And
they used to clip the nails of the talons on the birds on the canaries so that because rigor mortis would set in as they were dying and hold them up on that perch, and so they'd
yeah,
clip their nails so that
yeah,
obvious
you had to see them
when it fell
fall.
over, it fell over. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
and the
Yeah, you
canary
see.
was such a good was a good analog because it would
Mm-hmm.
take a lot less time to hit that canary than it would for a
Yeah,
human being.
yeah. I
So
mean, they've
by the
got
time the
such small
canary fell, you
bones,
got a
and
few minutes to get out.
yeah.
So
After the canary, they had a light. It's like an oil lamp type deal. They were about yay tall, foot and a half tall, you know, 5 6 inches in diameter, and it was silver on top and bottom. There's a little flame in the center.
right,
And methane would make the flame get higher. Low oxygen would make the flame get lower. It would turn blue if this, red if this, green if
orange,
this.
yeah,
Yeah, like different chemicals in the air or, different substances in the air would make it change color, do different things, flicker, not flicker. So if it's not burning right, something's going on.
right.
So that was the next generation to what we have now, which is all electronic. You know what I mean? We don't really mess with open flames in the mines at all if we can help it.
Yeah, they used to have little fires and furnaces down in
Yeah.
the bottom
Oh,
of the
yeah.
shafts to get rid of the methane, you know, and that would often cause explosions. So,
Yes. And
and
those were days before rock dusting.
yeah, one of the biggest one of the biggest issues in mines for mine safety back, in the 10s, 20s, 30s, mine collapses and explosions.
Yeah.
So that stuff happened all the time. Like we were talking about, Monongah.
Yeah,
We were talking about that, like the largest mine accident ever
yeah,
it was an explosion. And I don't remember the details of the explosion. Um, but that's ultimately what happened. An explosion killed 362 miners. I think
yeah.
there was over 400 in the mines, but 362 lives were claimed. And now that's an unofficial number because,
Naturally, yeah.
obviously this was back in what 1907, so 120 years ago. And I was just man, I was just flabbergasted at how long it did take to get these safety regulations in place, the amount of blood that had to be shed,
Mm.
I know it's not West Virginia, but Harlan County, Kentucky, a lot of stuff happened there back in the 70s,
Oh
80s.
yeah. Oh, it was bad
And
over there too. Yeah.
I kind of consider that, like along the same areas because it's Appalachian Mountains chain,
Yeah.
and so
I'll tell you the truth. We would trade Cabell County, West Virginia, for Harlan, Kentucky any day of the week. Any day. We would gladly cut that out and just take Harlan County. We would
Do you
happily do
remember
that.
that TV show, Justified is the name of it? Do you remember
Loved it.
Justified?
Yeah, I
That was
love that show.
when that show came out. See, I'm a big Timothy Oliphant fan anyway, but when that
Same
show
I.
came out, I loved it. And then I got into the history because I've always been interested in that stuff anyway. And I remember back when I was a kid seeing a documentary called Harlan County, USA,
Yeah,
and it was all about the strikes in the 70s 80s and the violence that came out of that, and basically like mine workers were exploited exclusively
badly.
back from the 18 mid 1800s until like 1970s 80s.
Yeah.
And
And that's the thing. Like, it's not even. It wasn't even like the carpetbaggers from the Northwest then. I mean, you're talking
yeah,
about people that
in
should
the
have been on our
70s
side.
80s it
Duke
was
Energy.
local governments, yeah.
I mean, Duke Energy, North Carolina. Like those people have been through the same bullshit we had.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they had a tough draw. They had a tough go of it too in the South, man. North Carolina wasn't a prosperous region back in the
Right.
day.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's grown a lot recently, but they had a hard scrabble life down there too, man.
Yeah.
And then Duke Energy pops up and just rapes Harlan County, man.
Right.
Horrible, horrible the way they did those men. I mean, I don't know. I get pretty fired up about that stuff, but I got fired up about that before I was a coal mine. Like West
Yeah. And
Virginia
yeah.
history and the history of coal mining means a lot to me. Not just I mean, as a West Virginian, I mean, it really means a lot to me because it is our state's history and it's our
Yeah.
people's history. I mean, there's a lot of great things that come from coal mines. Have you ever had let me ask you this. You're Midwest. You may not have. You ever had a pepperoni roll? Do you even know what a pepperoni roll is?
Yeah. Yeah. So I had to look it up when you'd mentioned it. And yes, I have absolutely had pepperoni rolls and they are delicious.
Okay, what did they call them? Pepperoni rolls or did they call them stromboli?
It's Stromboli.
Okay, all right. So the pepperoni roll you're going to get here in West Virginia is not like a stromboli. A stromboli is made with like pizza dough.
Right. Yeah. And
And
this is
pizza dough,
the pepperoni
cheese.
is like a flaky crust pastry.
Yes. Okay. Well,
Yes.
here, a pepperoni roll is like a sweet yeast roll like you would get at school. And that some bitch is jammed with pepperoni and cheese. No
Oh
sauce,
my.
just jammed with pepperoni and cheese. And they came about in the northern parts of West Virginia, around Marshall County, Ohio County, up in like the northern panhandle down into like Morgantown, Monongahela area, like
Yeah.
all that, right? And there are a lot of Irish and Scotch and Italian immigrants in the
Yeah.
mining industry up there back in the day. And the mountains kind of kept West Virginia and Virginia separate, right?
Yeah.
So once you got over those mountains, like everybody, like you know where the term hillbilly comes from. The Irish
Um,
people that lived up in the hills, and King William,
Vague.
they called him Billy. Like,
No,
long story
I'm
short,
not familiar with that story, but that's interesting. I thought
okay,
hillbillies came from like Appalachian Mountains hill people.
No, 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 no. These were the Irish people who ended up in the Appalachian Mountains. They were hillbillies
Okay.
before they got here. Yeah. The
Okay.
hill people
Okay.
in Ireland hated King William, Billy, and they lived up in the hills, and they ended up being hillbillies. They're also positive thing, right? So anyway, the hillbillies get over here, and they naturally went to land that was like their land.
Right.
And then the
Right.
Italians
Okay.
come. The Italians come and they see them and they're like, oh shit, the Italians, they're not American either. Let's just send them up there with their damn hillbillies. So they're
Right.
up there and they're all mining coal together. So you've got like all the immigrants, the freed slaves, everybody's up there mining coal together, and everybody's friends in these little pockets. West Virginia, it's gonna sound crazy, but West Virginia didn't really know racism, dude. Like after the Civil War, it hasn't really been a thing for us
Yeah, I
because
did actually. I was watching that documentary this morning, and it
yeah,
actually it
like
mentioned that all races work together. Yeah, I mean
yeah,
there was
we're
the mines were segregated, but outside of
in
the
the
mines
very
weren't.
beginning, yeah, but not
Yeah,
yeah, like no, like inside the mine,
and the only
everybody's black.
reason they did that, that they segregated the mines, and this was just the documentary that I was watching. They
Yeah,
said the reason why they segregated the mines was to keep so that unions didn't rise out of that, and
yeah.
so
I mean
that
that's
everybody would stay apart and
exactly.
away from each other. So
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't have you got to keep people fighting. Very similar to what we were talking about earlier. If you can keep people fighting amongst themselves, then they're not going to fight you,
yeah,
right?
that's
They're not
right.
going to turn around on you. So
That's right.
anyway, you get all these different people together, and they got to have something to eat when they're underground. Well, the Italians, man, leave it to the Italians. They had these sweet yeast rolls they'd had for dinner. They had pepperoni, which was a cured meat that never went bad.
Yeah.
So their dinner buckets were just packed full of it. They'd put them together and eat them, and then it came out of there. Like
Oh
it
man, I'm
eventually
gonna have to
turned into
put some of
what we
that
eat
together.
today, called a pepperoni roll, which is a state food. We have festivals for it and shit. Like we got Mothman, pepperoni rolls. We got all kinds of cool shit in West Virginia. Like
Yeah.
whitewater rafting. Like West Virginia is awesome, dude. Like we have so much. Like believe it or not, I was born in Tennessee. Totally off subject. I didn't
Oh
get here
no,
until I was like 2 years
I
old.
love
But
Tennessee. I
like
spent a
Tennessee
lot
was
of time in Tennessee.
I do like Tennessee, and every time Rocky Top comes on my playlist, I sing it. I love, you know what I mean. But I'm a West Virginian. I wasn't
Hey,
born here, but I was
I'm
raised.
from Missouri, and I know the Rocky Top song.
Yeah,
Good
well,
old
who doesn't?
Rocky Top,
Right?
Tennessee. Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, and we have so much here. The blue, the mountains, everything's just I don't know. All four seasons is the biggest thing about West Virginia that I love. Like we truly do have all four seasons,
Oh yeah.
and it's all of them are pretty. It doesn't get too hot. It doesn't get too cold. Like West Virginia is perfect for me. My wife's from Arkansas, and Arkansas is pretty. Don't get me wrong.
So
Like she's from
they got
Northeast
three
Arkansas.
seasons there. They have three
Pretty
seasons
much.
there.
Yeah.
Winter, spring, and summer.
Basically, yeah. There's not much fall there. There really isn't.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been there during the fall. It's
Yeah.
not a lot of fall really. I mean, it's basically like I guess y'all get it too. Like it's like the way I saw it was there's like winter tornadoes, summer tornadoes, winter. Like
Yes.
that's like
Yes.
all I saw. Like
That's
I was
exactly
messaging
what
you the
it's
other
like
day.
here.
We had that fucking tornado. I was like, you've got to be kidding.
Yeah, and
Like,
it was you had a tornado there and it's snowing
yeah,
here,
yeah. I'm like,
and
what the hell is going
it was
on?
78 degrees the day before. And so obviously,
That's
the snow's not going to
crazy.
stick, but it's
Yeah,
78 degrees. And then when I was talking to you, texting, it was 39 degrees. It was sleeting. And then I looked
that's
out
so
10 minutes
wild.
later, it was snowing. I was like, oh my, well, like a damn groundhog lied to us again.
Yeah, no kidding, right? That son of a bitch. He had his mind on making babies. You saw he had a baby, right?
Yeah,
Like, come on, Phil. Get your shit
right. I was just
together.
getting ready to say that. Damn it, Phil. But yeah, so the Midwest here in Missouri, like we get all four seasons here, but like
Mhm.
fall is really pretty here. And I notice as I'm driving, like so I as I mentioned, my sister lives near Nashville. I didn't mention that today, but through a text
Yeah, yeah,
message
you had told me. Yeah.
conversation, my sister lives in near Nashville, and as I'm driving from Missouri to Tennessee in the fall, everything is real colorful around here. And then the further I go east and south, it goes green. And
Yeah.
so I mean, I love Tennessee. I love it absolutely. If I had to, actually, now that I've seen the hills of West Virginia in pictures, I may want to move there eventually.
I'm
But
telling you, buddy.
the mountains of the Smoky Mountains, I got into a helicopter and we did a helicopter tour over the Smoky Mountain National Park, and
Oh,
is the
cool.
most beautiful hills I'd ever seen.
Oh, I can't
And
imagine. Yeah.
so if you ever do anything like that, take your kids up in that helicopter, man. They'll never forget it.
I
I
might have.
took
We went last time we were in Gatlinburg. We did the Titanic thing
Yeah.
and the that it's not Universal, whatever Paramount Studios maybe. It's like
Uh,
a wax museum and
oh
stuff
yeah.
about the movie.
Was it Ripley's Believe It or Not?
Well, there was a Ripley's there, but this was like they had the building has King Kong on the outside.
Okay.
I just
I
can't
think I
remember
know
what
what
it.
you're talking about. I can't
Yeah,
remember
I'm
what
sure
it
you
is
do.
either.
You've been to Gatlinburg, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, we
That's
I
actually where we
saw that
were.
thing,
That's
but
actually where we were when we took the helicopter tours.
yeah.
I don't think it was Gatlinburg. I think it was that other little city next to it. But
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, we stayed in the Ramada there
just having
in
a
that other
brain
little
fart.
area. Yeah, Sevierville.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's exactly where it was. Virville.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where Dolly Parton's from, right? If
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
mistaken. Yeah, Dollywood's right down the
Somewhere
road
around
there.
there. Yeah, the Dollywood's
Yeah,
right there. Yeah. And
yeah, I think
as
that's where she's
speaking of
from.
Dolly Parton, we joined her book club not too long ago for a
Do
4-year
you
old,
really?
and she
Nice.
sends us books all the time. It's pretty neat.
That
And
is pretty cool.
but now
Have
that
you
I've
heard
seen, go ahead.
Beyonce covered Jolene?
No,
Did
I
you see
haven't. I'm gonna
this?
have to check that out.
Man, I'll be honest with you. It is nothing like the original, but I mean, it's not bad. It's really
Really?
the story changes. She changes the story from like, Dolly's begging Jolene not to take her man. But
Right.
Beyonce kind of she changes it up and like basically threatens to bring the heat out on this girl for trying to take her man, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, it's worth giving a listen. I guess she put out a whole country album. I wasn't aware of that.
I wasn't aware of it either until they started bitching that country radio wouldn't play them, and I don't listen to country music myself, so
Yeah.
that's the only reason I knew is because they were complaining that country radio wouldn't play Beyonce, and I was like, well, it's a country record, why not? So
I don't know why they wouldn't either. I mean, maybe I don't know. I mean, I'd listen to what I've downloaded because
right,
most of my ride I don't have service anyway. So
right.
I mean, there's no. You get out these hollers, man. There's no radio out there. I listen to what I've got downloaded, and that's it. So
Yeah,
that's
and
the
and
whole
it's
way.
not because there's no cell towers. It's not because there's no radio reception or radio frequencies out there. It's not because it's just down in them hills and hollers it won't work. Like
Yeah, yeah,
the
they go
signal
over it.
won't go that far, and the way a
Yeah,
cell tower works is here's your tower and then your service comes off of that tower like an umbrella. And if you're underneath that umbrella, you're not going to get service, but anywhere outside of that umbrella, you will. So if they put a uh if they put a cell tower right in the middle of a hauler, it still won't work. It won't get out, and
yeah,
it won't get service into it. So therefore, it's not working with other power pole or other poles, cell towers.
yeah.
It won't communicate with you either. And
I
that's,
did not know that.
yeah.
How
So
about that?
I actually worked for I'll just out them right now. Sprint. I work customer
Yeah,
service for Sprint for a while, and that's exactly what they told us. And then, so I had to go back and make sure that that information was correct because I don't like Sprint. And
Yeah, I
so
got you.
I looked it up, and yeah, that so cell towers actually work. They don't spread their service out. It's down like an umbrella.
Huh.
And so if you're right underneath that service, you won't get service. But it talks to several different. I hear a military plane over my house right now. So we live right next to Rosecrans International Airport, and what that is,
Oh.
it's a small little airport, but it's Air National Guard, and
Oh, okay.
it's like 5 miles away from my house. And during air show time, that's all you'll hear all day long is jets flying over your house.
No
Now,
good.
other people
Huh.
complain about it and bitch about it, but I love it because they're doing
I think it'd
trips
be
right over
cool.
my house. Like I don't even
Yeah.
have to go to the air show. I could see them. So,
Yeah, right.
but anyway, I forgot what I was talking about.
We were talking about cell towers. We were talking about
Oh yeah.
Beyonce and not playing her music. I don't really care about that either. What
So
else?
yeah,
We were on
I,
the subject of Tennessee before that.
yeah, Tennessee, like the mountains. And now that I've seen West Virginia and from your photos, and like
Yeah,
that, I was talking about going to Colorado with my wife to go hang out on one of those steam engines. What you were
that would be
describing
cool.
on that trip that you took up on the mountains and where you could stay in
Yeah,
the caboose, that sounds like a better plan to me. Because
dude, it's
and
awesome.
and especially since that satellite is out there for SETI, I'd imagine there's probably pretty low light pollution there. So you
Very
probably
little.
so I'd love to hang out there because like I haven't seen the sky since I was, gosh, in my 20s. I haven't seen,
Yeah,
so anytime that I go to the mountains, I try to look, and it's just we're usually by big cities and you got that light pollution, so we
yeah, I
only see
know.
part of it. But um I definitely love to come hang out there for a while. And
Oh, dude, that'd be
when I
great.
can afford to, I'd definitely love to come visit you and do a show live with you. And I
Oh
see
hell yeah,
this
man, we'll
turning
put
into
you
a
up.
friendship, man.
Oh, for sure, brother. We'll put you up. I'll take you to the mountains. We'll make it
Hell
happen.
yeah. Hell yeah.
Well, we'll
That
eat some
sounds like a
wild
great
game
time.
and do all kinds of fun stuff. Shoot guns. They can't shoot
Hell
in my
yeah.
backyard, but I mean, there's plenty of places to shoot around here. Plenty of
Absolutely.
places.
It's West Virginia, you know?
Yeah. I got some buddies that got some bear dogs who might be able to put you on a bear. Oh, yeah,
What?
buddy. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got a buddy that
What?
runs bear dogs, man. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. And
Yeah. I got
so
some videos I'll send you.
I got to go through this little slideshow here because
Oh,
and
yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. I forgot about that.
oh it, we and I'm going to put this down at the bottom of the screen here for our viewers because they can't see that TV up there.
Yeah.
But some of these some of these vehicles you ride down in, like this one here at the top of the screen, that looks like a lunar vehicle on the moon,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Very
And
similar.
when you're showing me these pictures and sending them, I was like, is that motherfucker on the moon? You know?
Yeah. Right.
And so
So they're
it's
essentially designed like that because just like the moon's surface, man, it's rough down there. Like,
yeah.
and they're all straight axle, dude. Like there's no suspension whatsoever. So the only
And they're
suspension you
electric as
have is
well, right?
yeah. They all
Yeah.
well in West Virginia they have like they don't have the electric, but if they're diesel, they have certain really high standards, like a really high emission standard. Whereas if you cross the border into Kentucky, you could go buy a diesel off the lot and drive it underground. It would pass their emission standards, but West
Right.
Virginia's emission standards are way higher.
Right.
So you can't have a diesel like that. I can't remember what the specs are. I mean, I can get them for you. I've got the book, but I don't remember where they are. But yeah, you can take a diesel underground. There's no gasoline engines underground because the spark. You know what I mean?
Right.
The
Yeah.
difference between compression and internal combustion, little different. So we are allowed to take diesels underground and electric rides underground. And the
And
electric
of course
rides
there's got to
are
be a
kind of
lot of
fun.
ventilation. Got to be a lot of
Oh yeah,
ventilation.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, it's ventilated, son. Really ventilated. Like it stays, inside the earth, usually around 55, 56 degrees all year round, right?
Right.
So it's 105 outside, it's 55 on the section. It's 5 outside, it's 55 on the section.
Right.
Like, and then we're bringing in air, but we're 5, 6 miles under the ground, not under, into the mountain. Like I work in drift mine,
Yeah.
which means we go straight in. Now there are mines in West Virginia that have a slope that you
Yeah.
go
I was gonna
down
ask. I was
down
gonna
a
ask
hill.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then of course there's the deep mines that you go down an elevator in a tunnel and then you spread out from there. But I'm lucky enough to work in an actual drift mine and go straight in. So we'll go 5, 6 miles in. We're inside. We're under 1,000 or so feet of cover because we got a mountain directly above us, and it's a room and pillar. So
Yeah.
we'll cut and bolt, and we leave. They're 55-foot centers. Most of the blocks are 55-foot centers. So from the center, there's like a 20-foot wide cut on either side of the block. Like you've got a block in the center, and all around
Right.
that block is a road going each way, and they're all 20 feet wide. So from the middle of that to the middle of the next one is 55 feet, 55-foot centers on those blocks, right? So these big blocks of coal hold the mountain up.
Right.
And in between those blocks, there's roof bolts. And those roof bolts hold the remainder of the mountain up. So when we get done mining, everywhere we're going to mine, we're going to turn around and we're going to take those center blocks out on our way out. That's the pillaring. Right now, we're continuous, we're mining, and it's continuous mining as opposed to conventional mining with a saw and
Right.
a drill and dynamite and that kind of stuff. We're
They
doing
say
continuous.
continuous mining is actually really efficient.
Oh, it's very. I mean, it's no longwall mining, but it is
Right.
efficient. Now the
And
longwall
that was the other
is
one that I
efficient.
was looking at was long wall mining, and it's man, that's quick.
Yeah, I've never been on a longwall, and from the guys I've talked to that have worked longwall, I have no interest in being on longwall. Like it's hard work, and it is. I mean, that thing's huge, man.
Yeah,
It's huge,
yeah,
and it just wipes out. I mean, it wipes out coal.
yeah. It chews
It's
out
pretty
walls at
amazing.
a
Yeah,
whole walls at a time, and like you were saying, you guys have those 11-foot cutter heads. Now these
yeah.
could take those could take that out and just like it's nothing.
Oh, nothing. I mean, they're the panel's 60 foot wide,
I think that
and it goes
aren't the
back, forth, and it's gone.
the tooth drums are like larger than we are. Like aren't they
Oh, they're
like
huge. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
gigantic. I don't know exactly how big they are. I'd have to talk to one of the guys that's worked on a long wall before. I've just seen them in videos, and of course, in my Red Hat training classes, we talked about longwall mining and the you know April 16th, right? 16th will be the anniversary of the Upper Big Branch mine disaster, and that was really bad. 23 guys died that day because of an explosion, methane gas explosion.